Hi, I'm Jason Inman.
And I'm Ashley Victoria Robinson.
And we're here to give you a full spoiler review of The Defenders Season 1. We don't know if they're getting a Season 2, but let's just see Season 1. All right, this is your last chance. If you have not seen every single episode of The Defenders, this is your spoiler warning. We're going to go deep, deep spoilers. All right, Ashley.
Jason.
To change this up a little bit from our, our previous review, or we did the non-spoiler review real quick, we're gonna go dive deep. Okay. We're gonna go who we thought was the best actor, who we thought was the best scene, what we thought was the best episode, also like that. We're gonna go deep cuts. But real quickly, overall, in a full spoiler mode, give a real quick synopsis of what you think of the entirety of The Defenders as a whole.
I think The Defenders has a really good first 4 episodes, and then it implodes upon itself. And I think it is evident that Daredevil and Luke Cage are better written, better executed characters. Colleen Wing and Jessica Jones were really elevated in this series for me, and I liked seeing Sigourney Weaver be a bad guy. How about you?
I think The Defenders suffers from the same problem that Luke Cage Season 1 suffers from by killing off its best villain halfway through.
In the exact same episode number, in fact.
Yep. I was really surprised that we had 2 Netflix series that did the exact same thing. And it really bothered me because Sigourney was elegant.
She's amazing.
And she was great.
Yeah.
And I really didn't like that. I didn't like that we sat down and every Netflix series, including Daredevil, has done this, where we have the villain who starts off very imposing, and then about halfway through the villain doubts itself, and everybody's like, "You're weak, villain. You're weak."
Yeah.
And we get we got it with Sigourney where she was sitting with the record player.
Yes.
And she was like, "Oh, what am I doing? Oh, is it broken? Am I broken?" Which I thought was a nice piece of symbolism, but I don't need that in every single Netflix series, guys. I don't need it. All right. So anyways, Ashley, who's the best actor or actress? Let's just say actor. Who is the best actor of this entire series?
I'm going to table Sigourney Weaver because she's the obvious choice.
Yes.
And she is flawless. Her character suffers from some bad writing choices.
Agreed.
But it's not her. For
Yep.
me, it's a 2-way tie between Charlie Cox and Mike Coulter. I really think they're so good, and they're so good in these characters. They made such strong physical choices. They make really strong emotional choices. There's a depth about these characters. I think Mike Coulter suffers from more bad writing because there is a point where someone...
Do you have any specific references?
Yes. There's a point where several times, I'll take the Iron Fist example, Danny asks him, "What do you want?" when Danny's tied to the chair and they're sort of arguing back and forth. You know, what's your goal? And he's like, I'm sorry, and then Stick asks him the same question, and he says to both of them, "I just don't want to see anyone get hurt." That's not a goal. He should be able to articulate in one sentence what he wants, but they've made this character on the show more of a pacifist, which I think is a wonderful choice.
Yes.
And I think Mike Coulter is soft and a good enough guy to be able to pull that off. But because they don't quite know what direction they're taking his next season, probably because they're in the middle of it right now.
They haven't even shot it yet, yeah.
He lacks a focus that Daredevil has very clearly, and part of that is because Daredevil has had 2 seasons.
Yes.
And he is a more defined character with longer runs in the comics, so it's much easier for Matt Murdock to come out fully formed than it is Luke Cage. I also think Luke Cage really deserves a lot of credit because they give him the white privilege scene with Danny.
Which was great.
Which is, not only is it well written, it's well executed.
Him calling Danny on the right privilege thing, I thought was very strong.
Yes.
Yeah.
It makes me really sad that it's followed up by his inability to save Cole, the boy in Harlem. Who,
oh, yeah.
You know, like that scene comes very close after Luke is sort of coming out in this really great social justice speech. But so because of that, I think they're both really great. I think Daredevil, I don't like Elektra at all in any capacity, and I don't like Elektra in this series. And so the fact that his end is very much tied up to her, I didn't like personally, but I understand why they did it.
Okay.
So how about you? What did you like? Who did you think was the best actor?
Easily it's Charlie Cox.
Yeah.
Easily it's Charlie Cox. I thought Charlie Cox got to add some levels in here because this is a Daredevil that is dealing with the death of Elektra. As we find out in this series that he has been retired, which is something that I'm nebulous about superheroes retiring. I don't know if Daredevil would ever retire. He's kind of like Batman. But Charlie Cox got to play a Matt Murdock who was very much in grieving. And in this thing, he got to play this aspect that when Elektra would show up in these fights, because she now is the Black Sky, he didn't know how to take her. And he did this, he added this little tick, because Charlie Cox is very good about playing a man without eyes. And he adds this tick in there when he's trying to figure out who Elektra is. He can't read her, right? She doesn't have the same heartbeat, I believe he says at one point. He like plays this like down like this. and he's like it's like he's trying to compute this brand new signal that his radar sense has never experienced. And I thought that was 3 seasons in, many actors don't add new layers to the onion that is their character. And Charlie Cox found a way to make Matt Murdock more interesting than we had ever seen him before, which is totally on the actor, which I really, really appreciate. And by far, he was easily the standout. And I liked that he was the dynamic of the 4 that everybody else was like, whoa, bothered by. And it was where he like wouldn't trust anybody, he wouldn't tell anybody everything, but he's the only one with a costume.
Yep.
And they let every other character have subtle references to how they, Luke was just like, what the hell is that? Jessica made fun of the costume. Danny thought Daredevil was cool.
Yeah.
Which I think is really going to impact, especially that scene at the very end where we see Danny kind of looking like he's the protector of Hell's Kitchen, which is something that they've done in the comic books before. Now, I don't agree with his choice just to die with Elektra at the end.
I agree.
And I don't know where we're going with the faking out that Daredevil is dead. Are we going to play with the Mike Murdock aspect that they did in the comic books? Or is it specifically just leading to the Sister Maggie storyline where you find out that Nun is his mother? That's from Frank Miller's run. I don't know. That's my only downside of Charlie Cox as
Daredevil
in this series, but, whatever. Ashley, what would you think is the best scene in this entire series? Do you have one?
That's a tough question because there are some really great scenes, and you mentioned it in our non-spoiler review that the character interactions are some of the best parts of the whole series. I really like the scene that I referred to a little bit earlier where Danny is tied up and Luke is there talking to him. Tabling what you think about Finn Jones as an actor, the writing on that scene is tremendous.
Strong.
And it is so Danny and Luke, and it's wonderful to see Luke extending an olive branch and the birth of their friendship and their partnership there. And that scene makes me want I want Iron Fist Season 2 to be Heroes for Hire.
Yeah.
Just forget about just put them together. He's better with Mike Coulter.
I want you to forget, I'm sorry, I want to forget Luke Cage Season 2 as well. I only want Heroes for Hire.
Great, fine.
Yeah.
I would rather have Luke Cage than Heroes for Hire, but either of those, fine. But there's one moment that really, really struck me, and it's when Matt has taken his clients aside at the police station to give them, quote, legal advice, and Foggy shows up and pulls him out of the room and gives him the Daredevil costume. And he's like, this is what family does, and he hugs him, and he knows he's probably never going to see Matt again, and he just lets him go. And it takes Matt a second after Foggy leaves to realize what he's done. I just thought it was so beautiful, and it speaks to the importance of their connection. And emotion is what should be at the core of all superheroes. You bring that up a lot in our podcast, and I think that scene just flawlessly executed it, and they're both just wonderful in it. How about you? What do you think was the best scene, best moment?
My scene I believe it happens in episode 3. And it is where after they've all met, they've done their hallway fight, they go to the Chinese restaurant, and at first Matt won't take off the scarf and he won't tell them who they are. Luke Cage is like, put it on the table. And Matt is totally like walking away. He's just like, I'm done. And Jessica stops him and says, like, you're the devil of Hell's Kitchen. I know exactly who you are. They're going to figure it out, too. You might as well lay clean with us. I like that scene a lot because, one, not only is it classic Daredevil of being so stubborn that he's like, I can't trust anybody else to not die. That's basically what Daredevil's whole MO is. He's just like, if I trust you with this, you're probably going to die because the hand's going to kill you. So I'm just going to keep it all compartmentalized and Catholic guilt and, and like that's Daredevil.
Yeah.
But I also liked it because it let Jessica Jones show her skills as a detective and be like, I know exactly who you are, buddy. It wasn't hard to figure out. This is exactly who you are. And it let Matt be like, oh, I need to let people be in. Because I liked a lot of this series as being like Matt being like, I need to trust people.
Yes.
And it was interesting to see the dynamics of how the characters accepted the team. Because Danny, of course, right out the gate was like, let's team up. Whereas Matt Murdock was like, you're all idiots. I'm not trusting any of you. Luke Cage was just like, I can't even understand this. And then Jessica Jones was just like, she didn't want to be a part of it just because she's Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
So I liked seeing all their aspects, but that for me, where she was like, you're the devil. I know exactly who you are. Murdoch. And then as we walked away, I thought that last little jab was a perfect character, dialogue, everything in there was solid. Ashley, did you have a favorite episode of this series? And I have episode names. You need to look them up. So.
Oh, good. My favorite episode of the series is probably episode 3.
Worst Behavior.
Worst Behavior. It is the culmination of everything that we've been waiting for throughout the entire Netflix Marvel experience. We wanted the Defenders to team up. They teamed up, and it rocked. I don't know if there's anything else to say about that. It was so good.
I agree with you. I think that is episode 3, The Worst Behavior, is the best episode of the entire season because it is that team up. We get the hallway fight in that scene.
It's so good.
We get the Chinese scene, and then at the very end, of course, it ends with them like ready for the hand.
Yes.
Like, and we get the classic where they're all 4 there.
Yeah.
I believe that happens in episode 4. Yes, I don't know. I could be wrong. We would binge it all, guys.
We just watched them all.
It's all good. Ashley, let's go to this. We're gonna get some negatives here.
Ooh.
Any last positives you want to talk about? Any specifics you want to talk about?
Madame Gao is awesome.
She's always awesome.
She's so great. I just want to say that.
I just want to talk about really quickly. I liked the idea that the Hand were elders that were kicked out of Kunlun. Excuse me. I say Kung Lao. I almost mixed up Gao. It's weird.
Yeah.
Kunlun. I really like that. I liked the idea that there was a dragon underneath New York City. I think that was an interesting idea.
Yeah.
And this is going to lead us right into the negatives here. Let's explain this right up front. Okay. So we got the impression that the Hand wanted to go back to Kunlun. Mm-hmm. Correct? The other thing is that they were running out of the substance. Why didn't they just call it Dragon's Blood or something else? Every time they called it the substance, is like it bothered me every time they called like the Avengers invasion, the incident. Just call it the alien invasion. That's what it was.
Yeah, really.
So if it's Dragon's Blood or Dragon Bone Marrow, just call it that.
Yeah.
The substance. Anyways, it was just being cryptic for cryptic's sake, which I hated. So they also needed the substance because they were all gonna die. The impression is that they needed to go this dragon body underneath New York City to get the substance. But also at Kunlun, there was the substance. So they prove in this series that Elektra killed everybody in Kunlun. She says it to Danny. She killed everybody in Kunlun. Why didn't the Hand just go to Kunlun?
Well, that was my question as well, because they kept going on and on about the Iron Fist and how they needed the Iron Fist and they needed Kunlun, and he was in Kunlun at the start.
Yeah.
Why not? Why did he need to come back to New York? He didn't need to come back to New York. The whole thing could have taken place at Kunlun.
Well, when they killed everybody at Kunlun, which happens sometime in Iron Fist Season 1, just walk into Kunlun.
Yeah.
Just walk in. Or if the idea was that there was no substance at Kunlun, and this is the last dragon, is that the idea? They never told us.
It was not made clear
It was not made clear at all. And I'm sorry for the 6th season of a show, like, of this entire evolving storyline, we need to know.
Absolutely.
We need to know. Because I like that we got to hear about the chase.
Yeah.
And we got to learn that Matthew was supposed to be a part of that chase, that Matthew Murdoch was supposed to be part of the chase. That was a nice, real reveal. I like that we got the reveal that the Hand was kicked out members of Kunlun. Mm-hmm. Cool. But why did we need this dragon? Why did we need to make this giant building? I don't know. For all this buildup from Season 1 of The Kingpin being like, we got to build all these buildings, and the Hand wanted to do something, the reveal that, oh, there's just a giant dragon down there, and when we take the dragon out, New York is going to crumble, I thought was really weak.
There's a better way to do it, because the idea of the dragon is not a bad idea.
Yeah. But I'm sorry, we got off on that little thing like there. Ashley, who's the worst actor in the show?
I mean, objectively, it's probably the architect's daughter, because she was pretty horrifically bad for the 3 scenes she was in, but I'll give her a pass because she's probably about 18. I mean, I'm sorry, Finn Jones, you're just not very good. Colleen Wing would have been a way more interesting Iron Fist. You guys know.
I agree. Finn Jones.
Sorry.
If I had to pick a worse scene, it does star Finn Jones. There were many moments in Defenders that really bother me where things were either super convenient.
Can I guess what your worst scene is?
Let me finish my sentence. Yeah, you probably can guess it. Super convenient, or just plain dumb. Mm-hmm. Like, there are many moments where I'm like, what is the point of this scene? this is a dumb scene. Like, to give you an example, there's a moment where Trish and Karen meet for the first, they meet for the first time. They see each other across the room in the police station, and then they're talking in front of all the crime scenes of the Hand. At this point in the series, as far as we have seen, they have never met before.
And they don't introduce themselves.
And they carry on an entire scene never introducing each other. That's stupid.
Even just, I'm Karen, I'm Trish. Like, if you want to preserve your identities because you know weird stuff is going on, but that's what humans do.
Yes.
You introduce yourself.
Yeah, these characters have only seen each other across the room. They've never talked, as far as the footages we've seen.
Yeah.
That scene was very awkward and weird. What do you think is my worst scene?
I think your worst scene is when Iron Fist and Colleen go to Rand Enterprises to use Google.
Yes. Yeah. So they set up this whole thing where Luke Cage is like, you need to be better, son. You need to, like, not fight on the streets just punching people because you're a rich person punching poor people, which is exactly what he is. So Danny's like, you know what? He's right. What am I going to do? Okay, he's like, I got $1 billion corporation. I'm going to go do this thing. And instead of fighting the fight, just like Luke said, as a billionaire, so he could have done lots of things. He could have tried to buy out the buildings from under the Hand. He could have gone to city officials, bribed them, and got them to reject permits. He could have gone to the police. Yes, I know it's a lot of bribes, but that's what money does.
Yeah.
Using the system against these people. He could have done so many things using the system. Instead, what does he do? He goes to Rand Enterprises and says, hey, I need to use your computer. You, secretary, type stuff into Google. Okay, now I have a place where I can punch people. That's what he does, because he takes that information, he learns about Midland Circle, and then he puts on a tie, he walks into Midland Circle, into the board, and he just goes, I'm the Iron Fist. What did he expect was going to happen? That the Hand was going to be like, oh, you're the Iron, we'll evacuate the building immediately. No, walking into that scene is just going to make the Hand want to punch you. Which is exactly what Luke was saying don't do. So that was the crux of the stupidest scene in the entire series. Do you have a stupid scene as well? I'm sorry. I was sorry I was bad. I just thought it was so dumb.
Well, mine is also a Danny Rand scene, so let's just keep piling on. I think the scene so we have an entire episode where we have to keep Danny tied to a chair.
Yeah, Ashes to Ashes is what that episode is called.
Where we basically just have to spin our wheels for an episode because we have nothing going on until the final 2 episodes. I think it's episode 6. At the beginning, they're all trying to explain to Danny, like, we should take you off the table. We should protect you. You're in trouble. You can't go out there. And Danny basically takes his middle finger and shoves it in all their faces.
Yeah.
Now, it does lead to a pretty cool fight scene.
Where Daredevil trounces Danny,
which is great, but he's so childish and it's so poorly delivered that you want to be like, you're a grown-ass man. Act like one. You're the Iron Fist. You should be zen. You should be composed. You should be like Tenzin from Avatar: The Last Airbender. How are you the least level-headed next to Jessica Jones?
Who's crazy.
She looks like a well-composed, functional human being next to the way Danny's acting in this scene. And then you put him against Daredevil, who should be not as capable a fighter.
Iron Fist should trounce Daredevil with no problem.
But either Charlie Cox is better or the stunt double's better, and he kicks his butt. But just, again, like... Danny doesn't complete the journey that they've set him up for, and he should definitely be in a better position by that point, and it's just so disappointing that that's what we get instead.
I will also say to you that a little bit of that is I think problem of the writing, which
absolutely
it is this cliche in superhero stories to just have the superheroes fight for no reason, and that's exactly what that fight was. But also, you were exactly right that we need the episode to tie Danny to a chair and just sit and watch Danny for an episode. You could have cut that entire episode.
I also think, again, if we had a better actor playing Iron Fist, he could have elevated the words, because we do see the other 3 having to do some silly things, and they can generally, I can get past it because they're good enough with the material that they're given.
All right, let's move into our rating for this. And we already gave a rating in our non-spoiler review. I believe I gave it a 3, you gave it a 2.5 out of a scale of 5. Ashley, let's do this. Where does Defenders rank in your best Netflix series? Let's go like this. Okay, does Defenders make it into the top 4 of your series. Now, just to be clear, there's Daredevil, season 2, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and now Defenders.
Oh, we're counting Daredevil as the 2 different seasons?
Yeah, season 1, season 2.
It does...
Do you not want to? Do you want to just put Defenders all as one? Or, Daredevil all as one?
That's how I was thinking. We can do whatever.
All right,
It doesn't matter at all.
Daredevil is all as one now.
Okay,
It's all as one.
And then it cracks it's out of 5.
Let's just go. Yeah, give the top, because we have. I just said 6. Yeah, give us the top 5.
There's only 5. If
Whatever, I don't care. Give me a top 5.
My top 5 is Daredevil, Luke Cage, Defenders, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist. That's my ranking.
Okay.
How about you?
So Defenders is your
third.
Your third. If I'm ranking this, I'm giving it. For all my problems with Defenders, there are some moments of amazing stuff in there. So I'm gonna go. Daredevil is definitely number 1.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna give Defenders number 2, because Defenders is the second most likely that I would come back to watch. Luke Cage is 3. Jessica Jones, Iron Fist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is my ranking as well. Interestingly, we both put Iron Fist as last. I think that should say a lot of stuff. But yeah, Defenders seemed, to me, actually, to be honest with you, it seemed more like Daredevil season 3 than any other show.
It's definitely Daredevil 2.5 with a lot of Iron Fist.
With a lot of Iron... It's a weird mix of Iron Fist season 2 and Daredevil season 3.
And I will say that I understand intellectually that in the structure of this mystery that we've been setting up since Daredevil season 1, that this is an Iron Fist heavy story.
Yeah.
But watching it, I was like, man, there is too much Iron Fist in this, and too many people telling me how great Iron Fist is.
Yeah, and it does when he's the weakest actor of the 4.
It's hard.
And all the scenes are about him. You're just like, oh my god.
Yeah.
It's just really bad, especially when Colleen is so amazing.
Yeah,
we
we sort of have to sideline her at every
point.
corner.
Yeah, that was another little dig of me, that there were so many points where we had to sideline the characters. Like, we kept cutting to the police station where the sidekick characters are just sitting there being like,
I will say,
boy, we're just waiting.
I like a lot of the sidekick characters. I think Trish is phenomenal, and I'm dying for a Hellcat series.
Me too.
She didn't need to be in the show.
No.
Whoever Jessica's junkie neighbor guy, ex-junkie neighbor guy is, didn't need to be in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Karen didn't need to be in the show.
No.
Foggy can absolutely be in the show. Misty, Claire, and Colleen I'm fine with. But I didn't need all these cameos that basically just bookended the series.
You know, I have actually really liked Karen Page so far, and I like the actress that plays her so far. But this season of Defenders is really where I was like, man, she's getting real annoying. I actually hated every scene she had with Matt, because instead of evolving the scenes, every scene was about the same thing. Like, Matt, you promised me you were trying to be better. Every scene was that Genesis. And you're just like, God, we saw this in episode 1. We saw this in episode 2.
We saw this for 2 seasons.
My God, give me a different layer on that scene. Like, don't just... And that's the problem. I think, to me, Defenders does scream as a series that was made with too many cooks. I kind of feel like all the showrunners of the different series got a say, and because of that, it made the whole weaker, instead of just giving it to the Daredevil guys.
I will also devil's advocate that is a relegation that a lot of female characters are stuck with, being the sort of whiny...
In comic books, certainly,
character. In all writing.
Yeah.
And she's a great example of that, because Foggy, from the same show, same writers... an actor of pretty much equal talent between the two of them. He's allowed to evolve, but she is not.
Well, I also will flip you, just the counterpoint.
Because they want Matt to wind up with Elektra. I
will flip you also at the counterpoint to you. I will say that they did a pretty good job with Colleen, letting Colleen, and I know you didn't even finish Iron Fist season 1.
No, I didn't.
I think she made the right choice. I watched through it all. Colleen actually gets to evolve past her season 1 conflict.
But Colleen is a
ninja?
She is an offensive character, and Karen is. But you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
I respect the point you're making.
You know, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Defenders definitely doesn't do that for all female characters. Just Karen.
Yeah.
But I will say also, to support your point as well, I will say that Karen, of all of the supporting characters, is the ingenue, is the Lois Lane, is the, from the comic book, she's the character that's like, I need to be rescued, Daredevil.
I think it proves the point to me that in the comics, Karen's best thing is she dies.
Yes, she dies, and that is her best thing.
I think it's proven that in the Netflix series, the character has gone further than her use.
The reason I brought it up is...
And I like Deborah Ann Woll, and I'm sorry.
Yeah, the reason I bring it up is because Deborah is going to be in Punisher, which is going to be the next Netflix series. And I believe it comes out before the end of this year. And it makes me worried that every scene she's going to have with Frank is like, Frank, you told me you were going to shoot anybody. Why are you shooting people, Frank? Frank,
well, that's pretty
why
much
are you
her whole
people?
deal in season 2 of Daredevil.
I guess I'll write another article about it.
Yeah.
Frank, why are you shooting people? Like, and I'm just like, God, I need... If that is her storyline for Punisher, oh my God, I'm going to, like, you know, beat my head in with a
Do better, because
hammer.
she's better than that.
Do better, because the actress is so much better. Yeah. So, at the very end of this review, it kind of became a Karen Page review.
There you go.
There's your review of Karen Page Season 1. Let us know down in the comments what you thought about our interview. Also, what did you like? What did you hate? Down in the comments, let us know. And don't forget to click subscribe. We got lots more videos coming up. And very few soon in the future, a Punisher Season 1 review.
What?
All right, I don't know what that scream was. I think it's because who would ever thought that we'd have a Punisher TV show? I'm Jason Inman.
I'm Ashley Victoria Robinson.
Don't forget to click subscribe, and we'll see you later, Super Friends.